I'm Jennifer Matos with the Noah Webster House and West Hartford Historical Society, and I'm bringing you the 46th episode of the Armchair Tour of West Hartford history. This episode is supported by Keating Agency Insurance, which is located on Arapahoe Road in West Hartford. I'm standing here in front of the Wurst Haus on LaSalle Rd. This is a rather new restaurant that replaced the McCladden's Irish Pub, which was a fixture here in West Hartford for many years. Did you know that this site was originally the location for West Hartford Lanes, a very popular bowling lane? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the development of this section of LaSalle Road and also more about West Hartford Lanes. Like the rest of the town, this part of West Hartford in the early days of its history was really rural. There was farms and homesteads, and the person who owned a homestead on the west side of LaSalle, where we're standing now, kind of at the corner of LaSalle and Farmington Avenue, was a man named Seth Papeiro Griswold. And he actually was born in 1850. He owned a homestead at 1001 Farmington Avenue, and he operated a livery stable out of his home. He and his wife Emily had 4 children. 2 of those children survived to adulthood, and one of them was named Alan Seth Griswold. Alan Seth Griswold was born in 1878, and upon his father's death, he inherited the property. So Alan Griswold was an architect and a builder. He actually built and lived in the house for his family that he built for his family at 24 Arapahoe Road. He had a wife named Alice and 6 children. And in 1926, when his father died and he kind of inherited the property, he began a new career as a businessman and a developer. So at that time, the street we're standing on right now was not called LaSalle. It was actually called Arapahoe. So there was no LaSalle Road. The section that I'm standing on, which is basically between today's Farmington Avenue and Arapahoe Road, was called Arapahoe Road. And then it kind of made a sharp 90-degree turn onto what is today called Arapahoe Road. So if you can imagine, no LaSalle, it's just Arapahoe making kind of an L shape. And in 1926, when he inherited the property, he actually changed the name of this section of the road to LaSalle, as it is named today. And then he actually extended it beyond where it had ended. So it had hitherto kind of ended right at Arapahoe, and instead it went 2 more blocks to where it ends today, which is Pelham Road. So it was Alan Griswold who actually started development on this section of LaSalle Road. So the first 2 buildings on the block were built in 1931. One of them was 25 LaSalle Road, which is the building we're standing in front of today, and that includes a Ver and Wurst House and Union Kitchen. And then the building across the street came at the same time, 34 LaSalle Road, which would today be the site of the Shish Kebab House and Division West. So long before West Hartford Center became a destination for food and drink, it had more of a utilitarian feel. The storefronts that filled the block included a small grocery store called LaSalle Market. There was the fabric store S.P. Dunn and Company, Plimpton's and Bennett's on opposite corners of Farmington Avenue, and other shops selling goods such as art frames, toys, furs, and oil. This side of the street in particular was known for the A&P grocery store and Colonial Hardware, which is where Starbucks is today. And of course, there was West Hartford Lanes. So one of Alan Griswold's sons was named Bradford Griswold. He was born in 1921, and as a young man, he actually worked for his father as a type of landlord for these 2 buildings they had built on LaSalle Road. So he would collect rent, he would do the general maintenance, such as fixing gutters and roofs, and eventually Bradford Griswold became the owner of LaSalle Road's West Hartford Lane, which was located in the basement level of today's Wurst House. West Hartford Lanes was one of several bowling alleys in town. There was another very popular lane that was located in Bishop's Corner. And bowling was a pastime that had really gained popularity in the days following Prohibition. Bowling was first brought to America by British, German, and Dutch settlers. The first mention of bowling in American literature actually appears in Washington Irving's novel Rip Van Winkle, which was published in 1819. And during the mid-portion of the 19th century, bowling was associated with gambling and as really a popular pastime for common workers, so it was somewhat of a low-class activity. By the late 19th century, standardized bowling rules had developed and bowling associations were created that actually allowed women to participate in the sport. Bowling became less of a gambler's sport and more socially acceptable. So in 1916, a Hartford Current article actually announced that the West Hartford YMCA was planning on building 2 bowling alleys in the basement of their building. In 1935, another proposal to build a bowling alley on Park Road in the basement of a small building was highly opposed by the nearby residents on Washington Circle. But by the time Bradford Griswold opened West Hartford Lanes here on LaSalle Road, bowling was already in its golden age. The popularity of bowling was certainly helped along by President Harry S. Truman, who had installed bowling alleys in the White House in 1947. It's said that the Griswolds' ownership of West Hartford Lanes transformed the place from being what was once a dive into a popular, family-friendly bowling alley. There was an image of West Hartford Lanes that was posted on weha.com's Thursday Throwback several years ago, and it generated many comments from residents who remembered the bowling alley. According to those memories, it cost $1.05 to play 3 games on a Saturday morning. The Lanes, as they were known as, was a popular place for teenagers to hang out as long as they were well behaved, and youth groups would often bowl for an activity. In addition to bowling, there were several pinball machines and trivia machines. Of course, the landscape of West Hartford Center has certainly changed since those days, but according to the owners of the Wurst House, the long-abandoned lanes still exist in the basement of the building. We hope to post some pictures of the lanes as well as some images courtesy of the Griswold family, who are still around and helped provide a lot of the information we needed to understand their family's role in the creation of LaSalle Road. I hope you learned something new. I want to thank, again, Keating Agency Insurance for supporting this episode, and I want to thank Vernon D. and Florence E. Russa Family Foundation for underwriting the Armchair Tour of West Hartford History series. Thank you. See you next week.